I love creating art in whimsical style. I think it's a way to create your own world and express yourself in a very playful way. So today I'm going to show you how I create a whimsical village using watercolor and watercolor pencils. Let me show you how I do it. Okay, well, thank you so much for visiting my channel. We'll go ahead and get started here with the watercolor process. I have already pre-sketched this drawing. As you can see, it's just very simple. A few hills or mountains and just a whole bunch of houses and trees. And they're drawn in a very simple way, no perspective or anything. We just want to have fun here, so they're just draw in a way that is very easy, just shapes, rectangulars and squares and triangles for the roofs, and that's all you need. So I add water to the paper, just plain water, and then I'm applying now the watercolor, the blue one, for the sky. So this is going to be a night sky scenery. And well, I made a mistake here when I applied the plain water. I should have avoided the buildings as well as that big moon that's supposed to be there in the middle. I didn't do that, so it's okay. It's just going to make a little more difficult, an extra step near the end when I'm going to color those buildings. Just gonna have to use some darker colors. I'm just gonna have to get creative in that part. So hopefully you remember that and don't make that mistake. Um, but yes, sometimes I'm just rushing through my paintings and I just want to get it done because I'm just having too much fun with it. So yeah, so when we apply the water, we should technically just avoid the areas that we don't want the paint to run to it, and that really helps. Um, the water won't go. The paint that you're applying with the water will only go where the water is. It won't go to another area, well, unless you add way too much water, but normally that should work. So next time we'll try to remember that, or I will try to remember that, right? Okay, so here that I'm doing the grass, I'm not applying any wet water there. I'm just applying the water that is already there with the pigment. So, and I'm skipping the mountains from one mountain to the other one because I want them to dry, those mountains or hills or whatever. They need to dry, so I'm just kind of skipping, and there will be some drying time in between each application in this phase. But yeah, it's just very simple. So here I'm just not rushing and then just going a little slower and adding all the paint in between the buildings and the trees, so we just don't make a mess from like that one up there. A good thing to remember when we're working with any mediums, but especially watercolor, is to trust the process. So right now this drawing is looking very raw and just, I don't know, just looks like it has no potential there. But we kind of just have to try to trust the process, and it's going to get where you want to little by little. But this first phase of the art, it's a little bit discouraging because I guess we can call it like an ugly phase of the art piece. So just trust the process, just keep going, and don't pay attention to what looks ugly right now, what looks unfinished and unpolished. Everything is going to come up together near the end, and we just have to go through this phase to get to a nice art piece near the end. So I'm using, of course, here watercolor paper, and I have already taped the paper into this cardboard. I use this cardboard a lot for my watercolors, and so that helps. It is important that you tape your paper into something like a cardboard or directly to your desk or whatever you want, so your paper doesn't buckle as much, because it will become very difficult to work when your paper is just loose and not attached to anything, unless it's an extremely high quality paper. But still, the best thing to do is stretch the paper like that in a cardboard or a wooden board or anything that is sturdy and strong. And so, of course, here, as you saw me here doing these other parts of the grass, I used a little bit of yellow before I added the green, because I want these hills to contrast from each other. Otherwise, they will kind of all blend in all together if I was to put all the dark greens on top of another dark green. So I'm trying to have some grills, some hills that are more lighted in color, and others are darker. So that gives a good contrast between one and another, and it helps you with your composition here. So yes, so this is a very whimsical drawing I did a few weeks ago, and I don't know, I just love the whimsical style, and I love drawings like this. Very playful, very fun. I guess this could be called a combination of folk style, because the houses are just very straight. They don't have any perspective. You don't see the sides of the houses or the buildings, and so that could be called a bit of a folk style, a mixture of folk style, whimsical style, fantasy, that sort of style. And of course, I'm speeding up the video here quite a bit. This was not a very quick art that I did just in a few minutes. This took much longer than the usual drawings that I show here in my channel, because that is the process of the sketching first, and then there's the process of adding the paint, and then there's the fact that we have to wait for the paint to dry from one phase to the next. Then you see me now adding more ink, or not more ink, but adding the ink now on top of the pencil lines. So all of that takes quite a bit of time. So if you decide to do something like that, set aside, maybe a couple hours, maybe more. And I didn't finish everything in just one sitting. It took me, like, I had to take breaks, and then I just couldn't for practical reasons. Had to start it one day and then pick up again the next day, or take a break in between. So it's important that you know that you see here in the video, all those footage are speeding up quite a bit, so we can finish the video in a reasonable amount of time. Otherwise, it would be just very, very long. Another note here about the ink. So I use here waterproof ink pen, and that's my favorite ink pen, the Micron pen. Not sponsored, it's just really my favorite, and I pay for it not cheap, but it's not overly expensive for the quality of it. So I use the ink pen after the drawing was very, very dry. And that's another reason why sometimes you want to start one day and finish the next day, so you can let the paint dry overnight completely. If you use the ink on top of wet paint, chances are you're going to ruin your pen. So even though they are waterproof, it doesn't mean that we can use them on top of wet surface. They have to be used on dry surface. Otherwise, they will get damaged and just don't work anymore. But if I'm going to add more water into this painting, especially in these areas where I'm adding the watercolor pencils now. So if I was to have that pen, use a pen that is not waterproof, then it would smudge all over the drawing. I will leave a description of all the materials that I'm using. I will leave a list in the description of the video, so you know everything that I'm using. But just always remember, when you're going to use watercolor and you're going to mix with ink, then use a waterproof ink pen. Just make sure when you buy your ink pens that they are waterproof. So as you see now, my Faber Castell watercolor pencils there that I'm using, some of them are getting pretty small, those pencils, and sometimes hard to hold them. But yes, this is a very good quality pencil, and I used in many other of my videos here in this channel. But lately also trying experimenting with the Prismacolor watercolor pencils. Those are excellent too. So you don't have to have any expensive pencils or any expensive materials of any kind. Of course, it helps to have something of a little bit of a better quality, but use whatever you have. If you're getting started and it's your first time doing this, just don't worry about trying to buy anything very pricey. Just use what you have. Use something that is affordable to you. If you really, really like that kind of medium, or if you're really having fun with that style of painting, then go ahead and invest a little more. But just get started with whatever you have at hand. So I'm using now the water. I'm adding water into the watercolor pencils, and I'm using here a Pentel Waterbrush. Those are very, very convenient if you're traveling, or if you're drawing or sketching something out and about, because they already have the water inside the tube, that reservoir. But even so, I'm still using more water sometimes, just dipping like a normal brush and adding more water when needed. But these are very helpful. You could use a regular brush here and just dip in water. Just what I recommend, because these are so small, I would suggest that you use a very small brush. And if you're not familiar with this medium, with watercolor, then probably use a very, very small brush for these very, very tiny areas there. It will just take you a little longer to finish with everything, but just don't run the risk to smudge your drawing or get the water going somewhere where you don't want to. So I try to apply some highlights and shadows, as you see there with that tower. So one side is a little lighter and another much darker. Same thing with the trees. So the top of the trees are usually a little more yellowish, and the bottom is kind of purple, and somewhere in the middle is just pink. I got inspired by these trees to paint them pink because, well, it's springtime, and here in Colorado, the area where I live is we have a lot of pink trees and purple trees, and they were so beautiful. They're kind of gone at this point now, but yeah, when they first came out, they were just so beautiful and nice. So I had the inspiration to paint the trees in pink and purple colors because of that. So as you can see now, I'm working on the sky again, adding just more colors there. I fixed the moon by adding a little bit of gray and white to the sides of the moon, so it kind of looks like a kind of a sphere, and more yellow in the middle, or actually a lot of yellow in the middle. And then I'm now working on the sky, just adding more several tones of blue and turquoise, teal color to represent the glowing of the moon, and maybe a little more white just to make sure we get that glowing effect in this moon. And it came out, to me, I like it. Really like the way that the sky and the moon came out. As I mentioned earlier, the beginning of the video, it looked like, oh, should I ruin it? And then, you know, it's completely garbage, this painting, but I was able to fix that. So if you make a mistake on your paints, don't worry, keep going. You might be able to fix near the end when everything is dry, and you can focus again on what you're trying to accomplish. You can always fix things on your painting. So as you can see now, all the houses are finished, as well as the trees, and I'm just working on those little flowers in the bottom, and just using almost dry paint. It's not dry, it has a little bit of water, but I'm using very minimum water at this point. I made a lot of decorations in the houses and the windows and the doors, and add some bricks and sidings to the houses. Just try to get creative if you want to do something like this. You can create just about whatever you want. This is, like I mentioned before, this is a whimsical world that you are creating for yourself. I hope you are enjoying this video. If you do, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. And if you're interested to see more drawing ideas and painting ideas, you can watch this next video coming up, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.